HADI al-BAHRA is a member of the Syrian opposition movement and a former president of the Syrian National Council. He joined me earlier from Istanbul. HADI al-BAHRA, welcome to Late Line.
Thank you.
Give us an update on the state of the Syrian opposition, the civilian-led opposition that started this revolution coming on almost 7 years ago.
This revolution is still alive. This revolution now trying to reach a political resolution to the crisis through Geneva process and through Astana process. Unfortunately, until now, the regime is not serious enough about any political settlement for the Syrian crisis, still pushing ahead with the military campaign, which costing the Syrian people many lives, innocent lives, civilians, and destroying what's left of the infrastructure of the Syrian economy. For us, we are continuing our struggle. We will continue. We finished around 6 years. Now we are passing our 7th year. The crisis cost more than 1 million people lives, and more than half of the population of Syria became just as internally displaced people or refugees in other countries. This cost is very high for the Syrian people. They paid for it to regain their freedom and regain their stolen human rights and constitutional rights.
But of course, the struggle for the opposition isn't just against Assad and his forces, but also against the HTS, the Al-Qaeda affiliate, who are now particularly strong in that northwest region.
Yes, as you know, the struggle, and since 2013, we are fighting 3 front wars, actually. One war against terrorism and terrorist organizations, extremist organizations such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Second war against the regime, the dictatorship which ruled Syria. And the third one against foreign occupation by militias brought to Syria by Iranian and backed by Iranian from Lebanon and from Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places. We have more than 41 foreign militias on Syrian soil.
But there are now some 2 million civilians that seem to be trapped in that northwest region. What does the future hold for those people, given the dominant force there seems to be what was previously known as the Al-Nusra Front, that HTS Al-Qaeda affiliate?
These people are trapped in this area. But currently, we have achieved some progress in pushing militants outside of some towns and villages and put them in unpopulated area, push them into that corner. Very soon, there will be a reorganization of the armed groups in these areas to be mobilized under one flag and leadership, to be a semi-organized national military force to really get the military campaign more organized against all extremist organizations in the area.
What are the prospects for these latest rounds, this latest round of talks in Geneva?
We have to be honest. We know the situation in Geneva. Until now, you don't have any serious negotiation. What you have are consultation and talks with the UN representative in Geneva, exchanging of papers and ideas, but there is no real negotiation. Until now, no negotiation session has been held where you can see 2 delegations sitting on the table and negotiating seriously about political transition. The regime until now and its backers really playing a tactical game to regain time without really going through a serious political process.
And it does seem that the Western forces led by the United States are no longer demanding regime change as a starting point in peace talks.
The negotiation, you cannot have a preset condition for it, but the base of the talks are implementing the Geneva Communiqué. And the Geneva Communiqué details a complete, truthful political transition into a democratic multi-party system, and also establishing a TGP, which is transitional governing body, which would be established between the opposition and the regime, but with the new leadership. So this demand is a demand by the Syrian people, and we are the more important because you cannot achieve peace and security and stabilization in Syria without really the Syrian people feeling that regain their stolen rights. So it's a matter of really the capability of re-establishing stabilization and security in Syria, and you cannot achieve them without a truthful political transition.
But you do have the challenge of a significant number of civilians uprising who are terrorists.
We have terrorist organizations in Syria, and mainly foreign fighters, which they came from all over the region and from Europe and other parts of the world. But we are keen that we see them as a danger as the regime to us. The regime itself made it easy for these organizations to come to Syria and really to have incubators for them inside Syria. We are keen to root them out completely of Syria, and the Syrians are the only one able to root them out because we are ready to sacrifice, we are ready to pay the price to re-establish peace in Syria and to have a future for our kids in our country.
Since January, there's been a parallel peace talks being conducted in Kazakhstan with Russia and Iran and Turkey. Why the twin processes? Why can't they be merged towards some concrete effort?
You know, Kazakhstan process or Astana talks and process started in a period where we have a stagnation in the Syrian crisis, efforts to resolve the crisis. In the international arena, everybody were waiting for a position from the American administration, which was in transition. So the only possible process at that time, which was initiated by Turkey, which put very good effort into trying to advance the file. And Astana talks more focused on military issues and confidence-building measures. So they reached some agreement, but unfortunately, up to date, until now, these agreements are not respected by the regime forces and by also the backers of the regime. We don't trust until now much that Russia will be able to apply enough pressure on the regime and Iran to implement in good faith whatever has been agreed on in Astana.
And is there a clue as to which way the Trump administration is leaning in these talks?
The U.S. administration still have the same priority as Obama administration, which we can say first is fighting terrorism and finishing ISIL organization, Al-Qaeda related organization, having some type of stability in Syria, and third step is to go through a genuine organized political transition. The only change in the American administration that now it's clearly it's not acceptable for the Assad family to be part of the future of Syria or part of the transition period in Syria. They labeled Assad family as killers, as a family which committed war crimes in Syria. I think even internally in the U.S. it would be very costly for the current U.S. administration to deal again with the Assad family.
Hadi Al-Bahra, thank you so much for your time.
You are welcome. Thank you.